right here and whatnot, so that means the box is actually something, like it was for the Harley Quinn hammer. But yeah. Let me open this up and start doing our reading really quick. Alright. Stark Industries, photo racing, cool, got a t-shirt. Nice. Blind, you're just in time for my loot crate opening. How are you? I got Eleanor. Is that custom movie star Mustang?
I'm blind, not deaf.
Got a metal Batwing keychain. I'm good. I'm good. Gonna do a different reading today. In the moonlit night of the Gotham City, the Cape Crusader keeps watch from the cockpit of the Batwing. With its menacing silhouette, the Batman stealth aircraft strikes fear in the villains who walk the streets of Gotham City. Take this Dark Knight iconic plane with you your next patrol with ridiculously detailed replica of Q. That's pretty cool. Oh wow. I got a hood ornament. Oh, I wish I would have gotten the arrow. Damn it. I got a hood ornament. And on the back, that's what it's supposed to look like. I wanted this one. I don't want the Flash. I guess this whole box is about like super fast stuff. The loot pin. And then... what is this? The vinyl figure. Exclusive Cylon Raider, Star Titan. Battlestar Galactica. Really cool. Awesome. So yeah, this whole box is really cool. I get to build a box! I get to build a box! Ah, I get to transform my crate today! That's so cool! I really wish I got the arrowhead ornament. That would have been cool. But yeah, this magazine is just describing what's everything in the box. So let's build the box! fuck? Wait. Hold on, I'm trying to figure this out. Come on! Give up on me now, box. I punctured you out. You should go. You should just go. There you go. Go. Oops, forgot the mirrors. No! Come back! No! Okay, alright, there we go. Boom! I got a car. My box is a car! That's pretty cool. Beep beep. And then underneath it, eat my dust. That's so cool. I gotta find a place for all this now. Never give up. Never surrender. Alright. Put all that down there. My little car. Put them all down there. Put it all down there. Alright. Alright. Let's start this book. So this book is not a crazy book. It's got some Norse mythology in it and stuff like that. It's written around the 13th century by the Icelandic monks. 7 tales collected here offer a combination of pagan elements tightly woven into a pattern of Christian ethics. So basically it's sort of a little bit religious, but if you don't like it, then like leave, because I'm reading this and I don't care what you think. Anyways, it's called Hrafkel's Saga and Other Stories. And it's about this 15-year-old boy named Hrafkel, and yeah. Anyways, let's start this. Hrafkel's Saga. Chapter 1. The Immigrants. It's down just a tad. There we go. Hope you can hear me now. It was in the days of King Harald's fine hair that a man called Halfred brought his ship to Iceland, putting in at Breiðdal's east of Hildisdale district. On board were his wife and their 15-year-old son Hrafkel, and a handsome and promising youngster. Alfred built himself a home. The following winter, a foreign bondwoman called Arnthrid died there, and that is why the place has been known as Arnthridstead ever since. In the spring, Alfred moved house north across the moor and made his new home at Dale. One night he dreamed that a man came to him and said, "There you lie, Alfred. But that's not a prudent thing to do. Move house west across Lagerwater. Your good luck awaits you there." Then he awoke. He moved house west to the other side of Ring River in Tongue, to a place which is known as Alfredstead, and lived there till old age. But he happened to leave behind a male goat and a barren she-goat, and on the very day he moved out, a landslide fell on the farmstead, killing these two beasts, which is why the place has been called Dale ever since. Hrafkel made it his custom in the summer to go riding over the moors. At that time, Jocklesdale had been fully settled as far up as the bridge. When Hrafkel was riding across Jocklesdale moor, he saw an uninhabited valley branched off from Jocklesdale, and it seemed to him more suitable than farming than any other valley had ever been. When Hrafkel came back home, he asked his father to divide up their property and said he wanted to start a farm of his own. His father gave his approval. Hrafkel built a home in the valley and called his farm Adoble. Hrafkel married Abjorn and Goldolf's daughter of Lax Riverdale, and they had two sons. The elder was called Thorir. What's up, Hawk? And the younger Abjorn. When Hrafkel had settled at Adoble. Wow, these names are gonna totally be butchered. I apologize. It's awful. He had a large temple built and held great sacrifices to the gods. He loved Frey above all other gods and gave him a half share in all his best treasures. Hrafkel took possession of the entire valley and gave land to the other settlers, on condition that he should be their overlord. He became their priest and chieftain, so he was given a nickname, Frey's Priest. Hrafkel was a bully, despite his many qualities, and he forced the men of Jocklesdale to submit to his authority. He was kind and considerate to his own men, but harsh and ruthless to his enemies. And to them he showed no justice. Hrafkel fought many duels, and no one got any redress for the wrongs that Hrafkel committed. Jocklesdale moor is stony and boggy and difficult to travel over, yet Hrafkel and his father used to visit each other frequently, for they were on very affectionate terms. Alfred thought the usual path across the moor was too much rough, so he looked for an alternative route south of the hills which rise on the moor, and there he found a drier but slightly longer way. This path has been called Aldargata ever since, and it can only be used by those who are thoroughly familiar with the moor. A man called Yarni lived at Lauger House in Hrafkel Dale. He was married and had two sons by his wife, called Sam. It hurts very good. Okay. What's up, Christopher? Sam and Evian. They were handsome and likely fellows. Evian stayed at home with his father, but Sam married and settled down to farm at Leakscaler in the northern part of the valley. Sam was a wealthy man. He was a skilled lawyer and very conceited. Later, Evian became a seagoing trader and sailed to Norway, where he stayed for one winter. From there, he traveled all the way to Constantinople, where he lived for some time and enjoyed high favors from the Byzantine emperor. Hrafkel had one treasured possession, which he held dearer than anything else he owned. It was a pale dun stallion with a black mane and a black stripe down his back. He called the horse Fryefax and gave his patron Frey a half share in it. Hrafkel loved this horse so passionately, swore a solemn oath to kill anyone who rode the stallion without his permission. Bjarni had a brother called Torbjorn, who lived at Hole in Hrafkeldale, on the east side of the river across from Adelból. Torbjorn had slender means, but a large family to support. His eldest son was called Einar, a tall man and very accomplished. One spring, Torbjorn told Einar that he would have to look elsewhere for work. The reason is I can run the farm with the help of my other children. The man of your abilities should find it easy to get a job. It's not for any lack of love that I'm sending you away. I love you more than any of my other children, but I've been driven to this by my poverty and lack of means. My other children are getting big enough for work now, and you'll be able to get better employment than they ever could. Anna replied, "You're rather late in telling me this. Now all the best jobs have been taken by others. I don't like the idea of getting something no one else wants." One day, Einar fetched his horse and rode over to Adelból. Hrafkel was sitting in the hall and gave him a friendly welcome. Einar asked Hrafkel if he would hire him. "Why are you so late in asking this? I'd rather have hired you than anyone else, but now I've already engaged servants for every job except for one you couldn't possibly want." Einar asked him what he meant, and Hrafkel said he'd not engaged a shepherd, although he needed one urgently. Einar replied that he didn't mind what he did, whether it was this or something else. He also said he wanted to be hired for a whole year. "I'll make you a quick offer. You're to herd 50 milch ewes at my shilling and gather in all the firewood for the summer as well. In return for this, you can have your keep here for a whole year. There is one condition I must impose on you, as I've on my other shepherds. Fryefax grazes with his herd in the upper part of the valley. You are to look after him in the summer and winter. But I must warn you against one thing. I want you never to ride this horse, however urgent the need may seem to you. For I've sworn an oath to kill anyone who rides him. Some 10 or 12 other horses go with Fryefax. You're free to use any one of them, whenever you like, by day or night. Do as I tell you, for it's the old saying that warning wards off blame. Now you know what I've sworn to do." Einar said that he would never be so wicked as to ride the one horse which is forbidden to him, particularly since there was plenty of other horses at his disposal. Einar went home to fetch his clothes and came back to Adelból day. Soon afterwards, it was time to drive the ewes up to Grodig's shilling in the upper reaches of Hrafkelsdale. Einar was very good at his job and never lost a single sheep until about midsummer. Then some 30 sheep strayed one night, and Einar scoured all the pastures for them, but without success. The sheep were missing for nearly a week. Early one morning, Einar went outside and saw that the drizzle and mist had cleared up in the south. He took a staff and bridle and saddle cloth and waded across Grodig's River, which flows past the ceiling. The sheep, which had been there the night before, were lying on the gravel flats down by the river. He drove them up the ceiling and set out in search of the missing ones. Then he noticed the horses farther down by the river and decided to catch one of them to ride on, for he kept thinking how much the ground would be covered by riding than by walking. But when he came closer, all the mares bolted away from him. He chased them without success. They had never been so shy before. Only Hrafkel remained behind. He was as still as ever. He was as still as if he were anchored to the ground. Einar realized the morning was wearing on, and decided to ride the stallion. Ooh, he gonna be a big no-no, and this guy's gonna get killed! Thinking that Hrafkel would never find out. So he bridled Hrafkel, fixed the saddlecloth on his back, rode up the great... May, why did you do this? Hrafkel, south of the glacier, and then west along the edge of the ice, source of Jokel's River. From there he followed the river down to Bregjaz's shilling. He inquired at all the shillings whether any of the shepherds had seen his ewes, but no one had. Einar rode Hrafkel from dawn to mid-evening, traveling fast and far, for this was an outstanding horse. Then it occurred to Einar that he had better drive the sheep at the shilling in, even though he had failed to find the others. So he rode east across the ridges over the Hrafkel's Dale. And when he came down to Grodig's, he heard the bleating of sheep inside the ravine, which he had passed earlier this morning. When he turned in that direction, he saw 30 ewes come running at him. These were the sheep which he'd been missing for a week. He drove them in with the rest of the ewes. Then he led the stallion back to the herd and walked up to the shilling. Hrafkel was all running with sweat, and every hair on his body was dripping. He was covered in mud and panting with exhaustion. He rolled over a dozen times and neighed loudly, started to race down the path. Einar chased after him, hoping to catch him and bring him back to the mills. But the horse was so wild that Einar could not get anywhere near him. Hrafkel galloped down the valley without a pause, all the way to Abadol. Hrafkel was sitting at the table. The horse came up to the door, neighed loudly. Hrafkel told the woman who was serving at the table to go to the door. A horse was neighing, and it sounded like Hrafkel, he said. The woman went to the door and saw Hrafkel standing outside in a filthy state. She told Hrafkel that Hrafkel was there looking very dirty. What could the champion want? Why has he come home? There's no good reason for this, said Hrafkel. He went outside and saw that Hrafkel had said to him, It grieves me to see how you have been treated, my fosterling. You had your wits about you, about when you came to me, and this shall be avenged. Go back to your herd. The stallion left immediately and went up to the valley to his mares. Hrafkel went to bed that evening and slept soundly through the night. In the morning, he had a horse brought in and saddled, and rode up to the ceiling. He was wearing blue clothing and carrying an axe in his hand. Ooh, about to get killed! That was the only weapon he had. Einar had just driven the ewes into the fold, was lying on the wall and counting them. The women were milking. They all greeted Hrafkel, and in turn he asked how Einar was getting on. Einar replied, I've not been doing well. 30 ewes were lost for nearly a week, but now they're all been found? Hrafkel said he didn't mind about the sheep, but hasn't something more serious happened? Why the sheep haven't stayed nearly as often as I've expected? It is true that you rode my Hrafkel yesterday? Einar said. He could not deny it. Hrafkel said, Why did you ride this horse, which was forbidden to you, when there was plenty of other horses there for you free to ride? I had forgiven this single offense if it had not sworn to great an oath. You've made a frank enough confession, but my fate tells me that nothing good can happen to people who break their solemn vows. Then he dismounted and killed Einar with a single blow. That escalated quickly. Hrafkel rode back to Abaddon and told the news. He sent another man to the Shilling to herd the sheep and had Ironur's body buried on the hillock west of the Shilling, where he raised the cairn over the grave. The cairn is called Ironur's Varda, and the Shilling people used it to mark the middle of the evening. Alright then. Bjorn of Hol heard how his son Einar had been killed, and he grieved at the news. He fetched his horse, rode over the Abaddon, and asked Hrafkel for compensation for his son. Hrafkel replied that this is not the first man he had killed. Surely you know I never pay compensation for anyone, and people will have to put up with it. But I must admit, this killing seems to me one of the worst acts I have ever committed. You have been in my neighborhood for a long time, and up until now, I've liked you well. And you have also got on well with me. Einar and I would never have fallen out if he hadn't ridden the horse. Often we regret saying too much, and how seldom saying too little. I'm going to show how much worse I consider this killing than all the others I've done. I'll supply your household with plenty of milk in the summer and meat in the autumn, and I'll keep on doing this every year for as long as you choose to live on your farm. I'll also provide for your sons and daughters to give them a good start in life, and from now on you only need to tell me if there is anything in my possession you want, and you'll have it, and you'll never have to do without it. You can keep on farming for as long as you like, but move over here and stay with me when you're tired of it, and I'll look after you for the rest of your life. This then must be a final settlement between us, and I expect everyone would agree with me that your son's been generously compensated for. I will not accept this offer, said Bjorn. Hrafkel said, what do you want then? I want us to choose arbitrators to settle the issue between us. Then you consider yourself my equal, and we can never be reconciled on those terms, said Hrafkel. Bjorn went away and rode down the valley. He arrived at Laugur's house, saw his brother Bjorn. Bjorn told him what happened and asked him for help in the court action over Einar's killing. Bjarni replied that he, for one, didn't consider himself to be Hrafkel's equal. It is true that I am a man of some property. That doesn't mean I should take it on myself to quarrel Hrafkel. For it's true enough saying that he's a wise man who knows himself. Hrafkel has been known to crush both your opponents than me. In my opinion, you've acted very stupidly, refusing his generous offer. I'll have nothing to do with this. Bjorn had a good many harsh things to say to his brother, and said the more people expected of him, the more his courage failed. With that he rode off, and so the brothers parted, hardly on the best of terms. Bjorn rode away until he came to Hrafkel. He knocked on the door and someone answered. Bjorn asked for Sam, who came outside and gave his uncle a hearty welcome. When Sam invited Bjorn to stay, he didn't answer, and Sam realized that Bjorn was in an unhappy mood and asked him what had happened. Bjorn told him how Einar had been killed. It's nothing new that Hrafkel's killing men. He's always been free with his axe, Sam said. Bjorn asked Sam if he was willing to help him in any way. The fact of the matter is that although I'm nearest of kin, the blow struck not so far from yourself. Have you asked for any compensation from Hrafkel? Asked Sam. Bjorn told him precisely what had happened to Hrafkel and himself. I've never known Hrafkel to make such an offer before. I'll ride up with you to Abaddon. You must approach Hrafkel humbly and ask him if his original offer still holds. He'd certainly be generous in one way or another. There are two objections, said Bjorn. Hrafkel will no longer be willing, and the arrangement is no more agreeable to me now than it was when I left him. In my opinion, Hrafkel is going to be a hard man to oppose in court action, Sam said. Thorbjorn replied, the reason why you young men get nowhere in your overestimated is that you overestimate the obstacles every time. I don't believe anyone could have such wretched for kinsmen as I have. I think men like you are despicable. You consider yourself a good lawyer and are keen on petty lawsuits, but you refuse to take on this case. Urgent though it is. You'll come in for a great deal of criticism over this, not without reason, for you are the most conceited of all our kin. I can now see the outcome of my case is likely to be. In what way will it benefit you if I take over this action and the two of us are humiliated? Sam said. It would mean a great deal to me if you were there to take this case, no matter what comes of it, Thorbjorn said. I am very reluctant to bring an action against Hrafkel. I'll do so only because we're kingsmen, but I want you to know that in my opinion I am helping a fool in helping you. Sam held out his hand and formally took over the action from Thorbjorn. Sam had a horse brought in and rode up the valley to a certain farm. There he gave notice of the charge against Hrafkel for the killing. Hrafkel heard about this and thought it was amusing that Sam had started proceedings against him. Summer passed, and following winter, in the spring at summons days, Sam rode from home up to Adabel and served a summons on Hrafkel for the killing of Einar. And Sam rode down the valley and cited the neighbors who would ride to the Althing with him. And after that, he stayed quietly at home until it was time to get ready for the Althing. So this Althing, in the 10th century, the Althing used to meet on the 9th Thursday of summer, about the middle of June. The more you know. Hrafkel sent men down to Jokosdal to gather forces, and altogether he got 70 men from the district. With his force, he rode east across Fjeldsdale Moor. Then round the head of the lake, across the ridge over to Skidrusdale, up through the valley, south over Oxmoors to Burfjord, and from there he followed the usual route to Sida. The journey from Fjordstad to Thingsvellir takes 17 days. When Hrafkel had left the district, Sam gathered forces, and the neighbors had already decided where the farmers to accompany him, and the rest were vagrants. He supplied these men with weapons, clothes, and food. Sam took a different route on the out of the valley. He rode north to the bridge, crossed the river there, then over Modrudale Moor, and spent the night at Modrudale. From there, they rode to... God, I'm not even gonna read that. Purdy Bride's Tongue, and then down by Blafell and over to Kronksdale, and so south to Sand near Sandoval, and then to Thingvellir. When they came there, Hrafkel had not yet arrived. Sam furnished a booth for his men far from the place where the East Fjords people stay. Was it really necessary to explain where they were all going? Like, we get it, you're traveling, understood. Jesus. Shortly afterwards, Hrafkel arrived at the Althing. He fitted his booth as usual, and then when he heard that Sam was also present at the Althing, he thought it was vastly amusing. The Althing was very well attended. Most of the chieftains in the land were present. Sam went to every one of them for their help and support, but they all gave the same answer, that they did not stand in such debt to Sam that they were willing to get involved in a quarrel with Hrafkel the priest and so risk their reputations. They argued that those who had brought actions against Hrafkel at the previous assemblies had all suffered the same humiliation for Hrafkel. Jesus! Doodles, thank you for the subscription. You scared the shit out of me. How are you? Thank you so much. Jeez. Ugh. Yeah, okay. Hrafkel, they argued that those who had brought actions against Hrafkel at previous assemblies had all suffered the same humiliation, for Hrafkel had got the better of it in every single lawsuit which had been brought against him. Sam went back to his booth. He and Thorbjorn were disheartened and feared they would not only lose their case but also be ashamed and humiliated because of it. They were in such a state that they could neither eat nor sleep. All the chieftains refused to help them, even though they had expected to give them support. Yeah, no, you like legit scared the shit out of me. I'm sitting here and I'm like reading just calmly. I got the music going on. All of a sudden, boom! Game subscription. I'm like, ah! Ah! Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Early one morning, old Thorbjorn woke up. He roused Sam and asked him to get up. I can't sleep, he said. Sam got up and dressed. They went outside and down to Oxcar River below the bridge, and there they washed themselves. Thorbjorn said to Sam, "My advice is that we have our horses brought and get ready to ride back home, for it's obvious that humiliation is all we can expect there." Sam answered, "That's very interesting, for it was you who insisted on bringing this lawsuit against Hrafkel, and refused an offer which we would have satisfied any other man taking action over killing a kinsman. You question the courage." I wanted to renew to sleep. Thank you, Doodles. You have a good night and sleep well. Mimi times. Alright? You question the courage of all of us who are reluctant to help you with this lawsuit. That's the reason why I'll never give up until it's utterly past hope that I could achieve anything at all. When Sam had spoken these words, Thorbjorn was so moved that he wept. Then they noticed a group of 5 men walking from a certain booth on the west bank of the river, some distance farther down. The man in the lead was tall, but not strongly built. He was wearing a leaf green tunic and carrying an ornamented sword in his hand. He had regular features and a ruddy face. There was an air of distinction about him. He had a fine head of hair and was easily recognized because of a light lock on the left side. "We must get moving and go west across the river to meet these people," said Sam. They walked down the river, and this man in the lead was the first to greet them and asked who they were. They told him, and Sam asked him his name. He said he was called Thorkel Starson. Sam also asked him about his home and background, and Thorkel replied that he belonged to the West Fjords by family and origin, and that his home was in Skafford. "Are you a chieftain?" Sam said. He said, "Far from it. Are you a farmer?" Sam said he was not. "What kind of man are you then?" Sam. "I'm a wanderer. I returned from abroad the year before last, after I had been away from Iceland for 6 years and traveled through Constantinople, where I was in service with the Emperor of Byzantium. But now I'm staying with my brother Thorgeir." "Is he a chieftain?" said Sam. "He certainly is. His authority extends over Skafford and some parts of West Fjords as well." "Is he present at the Althing?" said Sam. "Yes, he is." "How many men has he got with him?" 70, said Thorkel. "Are there more of your brothers?" said Sam. There's a third brother, said Thorkel. Who is he? His name is Thormod. He lives at Garter in Alptinus. He is married to Thordis, the daughter of Thorus, Yala Grimson of Bjork. Will you give us some help? What do you want? The help and support of chieftains. For we are bringing a lawsuit against Hrafkel and the priest for killing Einar Thorbjarnarson. We can depend on my pleading. All right, as long as we have the benefit of your support. I've already told you that I'm no chieftain, said Thorkel. Why were you disinherited? Said Sam. You're a chieftain's son, just like your brothers. I said I never said I didn't hold the chieftaincy, but I handed over my share in it to my brother Thorgir before I went abroad. I've not resumed my authority since, for I considered it in good hands as long as he's in charge of it. You better go see Thorgir and ask for his support. He's a man of the highest principles, brave and capable of anything he does, and young and ambitious too. He's the kind of man most likely to give you a real support. We'll never get anything from him, unless you plead with him on our behalf. I promise to be for you rather than against Thorkel, for it seems to me that to take legal action over a killing of a close kinsman is a very urgent matter indeed. Go across this booth right away. The people there are still asleep. You'll see 2 hammocks near the inner gable of the booth. I sleep in one of them, and my brother Thorgir has the other. He's had a great boil on his foot since he came to Althing, so he's slept little at night, but early this morning the boil burst and the core is out. He's been sleeping since, and now he's stretched his foot from under the bedclothes and onto the footboard to ease the inflammation on the foot. The old man had better go into the booth first, and in along the floor. He looks half blind and decrepit on me. When you, old man, come up to the hammock, you're to stumble heavily and fall onto the footboard. Catch hold of the bandaged toe and jerk it towards you. We'll see how Thorgir responds to this treatment. You probably mean well, but this doesn't seem wise to me. Thorkel answered, either you do as I tell you, or go to someone else for advice. He'd better do as he tells us. Thorkel told them that he would be coming along later. I'm waiting for my men, he said. Sam and Thorbjorn walked over to the booth and went in. All the men inside were still asleep. They could see there where Thorgir was lying. The old man was in the lead, stumbling heavy, and when he came to the hammock, he fell across the footboard, snatched at the ailing toe, and pulled it hard towards him. Thorgir woke up with a start, jumped out of the hammock, and asked who these clumsy people were, trampling on the feet of the sick. Sam and Thorbjorn could think of nothing to say. Then Thorkel stepped into the booth and said to his brother, don't be so quick to lose your temper over this kinsman, for you'll come to no harm. People's actions are often worse than their intentions, and they find it particularly difficult to pay attention to everything when they've had a lot on their minds. Your excuse, kinsman, is that your foot is tender and it has given you a lot of trouble. That's a pain only you can feel. It could be that an old man won't feel any less suffering over the death of his son, particularly since he has no means of redress and is completely helpless. That's a pain only he can feel. It stands to reason that a man with so much on his mind can't be expected to pay full attention to things. I don't see why he should put the blame on me, said Thorgir. I didn't kill his son, so there's no need for him to take it out on me. He didn't mean to take it out on you, said Thorkel, but he came at you harder than he intended. For that you can only blame his feeble eyesight. He was hoping that you would help him, and really, it would be a noble gesture to aid this poor old man, for it's necessity and not greed that makes him take legal action over the killing of his son. All the chieftains have refused to help these men, which only shows how small-minded they really are. these men accusing? Said Thorgir. Hrafkel the priest has killed Thorbjorn's son for no reason. He commits one crime after another, and whatever he does, he refuses to pay any compensation for it. Thorgir answered, I shall do exactly the same as the other chieftains, for I do not think I am in any sense indebted to these men, so that I wanted to start an argument with Hrafkel. Every summer, he seems to give the same treatment to anyone who tries to prosecute him. They always finish up without the least satisfaction to their honor. I've seen this happen to every one of them. That's why most people aren't keen enough to get involved in a lawsuit against Hrafkel unless they are driven to it by sheer necessity. If I were a chieftain, I might have exactly like the other chiefs and find it just as hard to fight with Hrafkel, said Thorkel. But I don't think so. Because the man who'd beaten every previous opponent is the one I liked most as my adversary. In my opinion, it would be greatly to the credit of any chieftain if somehow or another he could restrain Hrafkel. And even if I fail like everyone else before me, I shouldn't feel humbled. I could accept that what has happened to so many others, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now, I can see what you have in mind, said Thorgir. You want me to help these men? I'm going to hand our chieftaincy and authority over to you, and then you'll be in charge for the same time as I've held it already. Afterwards, we can share it equally between us, but meanwhile, you can help anyone you want. I think it would be in our best interest if you were to manage our chieftaincy for a long time to come, said Thorkel. I like you rather than anyone else to be in charge of it, for in many respects you're the ablest of us brothers. As for myself, I'm not quite made up my mind what I'll be doing in the near future. As you know, Kingsman, I've not meddled in many affairs since I came back to Iceland. I can see now how much my advice is appreciated, so I'm not going to press this matter any further for the time being. But it's quite possible that Thorkel Locke may go somewhere else, where his word will carry more weight than it does here. Thorkel said, Now I can see what the matter is, kinsman. You're offended and I can't stand the thought of that. So we'd better help these men just as you wish, whatever comes of it. I only want you to know that it will please me if you do me this favor. What do these men think that they can achieve? What contribution can they make to the success of their lawsuit? As I was saying earlier this morning, we need the backing of chieftains, but I can conduct the actual pleading myself, said Sam. Thorgir said in that case it'd be easy to help him. And now it's important to prepare the case as well as possible, he said. I think Thorkel would like you to come and see him before the court convenes. You'll then reap something from your stubbornness, one way or the other. Either some comfort, or else even greater humiliation. Appointment and grace. Go back to your booth now and keep cheerful. You'll need to show some confidence. Your stand-up, Hrafkel. But don't tell anyone about our promise to help you. When Sam and Thorbjorn came back to their own booth, they were feeling happy. Their followers were surprised to see how suddenly their moods changed, for they had been in low spirits when they left. Hrafkel's humiliation. They waited quietly till the court convened, and then Sam called on his men to go with him to the Law Rock. The court had been sitting, and Sam went boldly before the judges, named as witnesses at once, pleaded the case against Hrafkel and the priest in full accordance with the laws of the land. He did so forcefully without any flaws in procedure. Then Starson came up with a large following. All the farmers from West supported them, and it was obvious that Starson had a great number of friends. Sam conducted his case to the point where Hrafkel was invited to present his defense. Anyone else in the court who was willing to compensate and competent to defend him legally could have done so on his behalf. There was a loud applause at Sam's speech, but no one present was willing to take over the defense of Hrafkel's part. Some people rushed over to Hrafkel's booth to tell him what had happened. He wasted no time, called on his men, and went to court, not expecting to meet any opposition. He was determined to discourage men of little account from bringing lawsuits against him. For he had intended to break up the court by force and so put an end to Sam's actions. But there was no chance of that now, because a large number of people had gathered there, and Hrafkel could get nowhere near the court. He was barred from approaching it by sheer weight of numbers, so he couldn't even hear what the prosecutor was saying, and it was impossible for him to present his legal defense. Sam followed up his case, demanding the maximum penalty, and so it came about that Hrafkel was sentenced to full outlawry. Then and there, at the Althing, Hrafkel went back to his booth, had his horses brought in, and rode away from the Althing. He was very annoyed at the outcome of his case, for nothing like this had ever happened to him before. He rode east, across Lingdale Moor, from there east to Sita, and didn't stop until he reached home at Abdul in Hrafkel's Dale. He stayed at home as if nothing happened. Sam remained behind at the Althing and went about with a swagger. Many people were delighted that Hrafkel had been so humiliated, for they called to mind all the injustice he had shown to others on the previous occasions. The next move. Sam waited until Althing was dissolved and people were ready to go home. He thanked the brothers for their help. Hrafkel laughed and asked him what he thought of the outcome, and Sam replied he was very pleased. "Do you really think you're any better off now than you were before, Thornger? In my opinion, Hrafkel had suffered great humiliation. It will be long remembered. And then there's a good deal of money involved too. The man isn't full outlaw until the court confiscation has been held, and that must be done at his legal domicile 14 days after the weapon take." So the weapon take is when people ride home from the Althing. Basically, like 3 to 4, the equivalent of 3 to 4 days of shipping, type thing. I suppose Hrafkel will be back home by now, and that he'll be intending to remain at Abdul. I think he'll keep his chieftaincy too, in spite of you. You'll be meaning to ride back home, and at best stay there, if you're lucky enough. I suppose he'll gain this much from your lawsuit, that you now call him your outlaw. But he'll no doubt carry on bullying everyone just as he always did, and the only difference will be that you'll now have to grovel lower than ever. That doesn't bother me in the least, said Sam. You're a brave man, said Thornger. Is it 7 already? Jesus. Alright, let me finish this paragraph. But I don't think my brother Thorkel is going to leave you in the lurch. He means to give you all the help he can until you've settled your business with Hrafkel once and for all, and then you can live in peace. And it's our obvious duty to keep on supporting you until the hilt, since we're already so much involved. We're going with you to the East Fjords. Do you know of any routes to the east that's not commonly used? Sam said he followed the same route back that he had taken from the east, and was very pleased with the offer. Alright guys, we're on page 56, chapter 13 of Hrafkel's Saga and the other short stories. It's basically a filler book because we finished the previous book that was done earlier this month. Like, normally I do readings on Fridays, but I feel like playing games because I didn't play yesterday. And I kind of want to kill people because I did not have a great testing today. So, okay. So I shall be back, possibly in the next 20 minutes with the video game. Maybe Destiny. Most likely Destiny. And I will see you guys later. As far as right now... Jesus! Geek and Sunday, thank you for the host. What's up? I'm just about to get off. I will be back on pretty soon in like 10, 30 minutes. But as far as right now, go ahead and give Mr. Frito Crash some love until I come back on, okay? Thank you guys, and I will see y'all later. I got to, Geek. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Alright. Give me 30 minutes, I'll be back. Bye! I gotta go feed my dogs.